Wait, hold on. Let me see how to turn the camera. Uh-oh.
Hello, it's Shatori, your favorite Atlanta realtor with Attraction Realty, where I'm attracting you to your next home. So I'm coming to you live for Talk to Me Tuesdays, where every Tuesday I'm going live to discuss all things related to real estate. So let's talk about credit. So if you're over the age of 18 years old and have not established good credit, then it's time to fix that. So I see that most people do not maintain or establish good credit until it's time to use it to make a major purchase such as a car, a house, or to guarantee business credit and many other reasons. But building credit does take time, which is why it's best to fix it before you need to use it. And once you establish that credit, to do everything you can to keep a good repayment of debt history. So when you're financing, institutions are wanting to know your level of how you're going to handle debt to be able to repay them. But today I have a credit expert by the name of Xavier Phillips with Harvest Group. So good afternoon, Xavier.
Good afternoon, Shatori. How are you today?
I'm doing good. So tell us, what makes up good credit?
So your credit score has 5 components to it. The first component is the payment history, which makes up 35% of your credit. So you need to be sure that you're making your payments on time. The credit bureaus, what they do is they will report every 30-day increments. So the most recent, the more it hurts your score. Also, the longer that you go without an unpaid payment, it also affects your score in that way as well. The second component makes up 30%, and it is I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, guys. It
Fine.
is, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. The next one is 30%, which is the amount that you owe. So the amount that you owe would be the balance that's left on your account. So you will typically want to make sure that the balance that you have the lowest balance possible, right? So say for instance, we have a credit card. Your credit cards say you want to keep them below 30%, but the less the balance that you owe, the better that your credit score will be. The next component that we have makes up 15% of your score, and that's the length of your accounts. So meaning how long that you've had an account. So I know that most people want as less accounts as possible, but be sure that when you are trying to delete old accounts off your credit report, that sometimes your credit score may drop because the lenders want to see the reliability that you have with the length of the accounts. The next component will be is 10% of the account, which is the new accounts applied for. So that's where your increase will come into play. So how often are you applying for new credit? The more you apply for new credit, the more it makes them look as if you're a risk, that you're applying too much for new credit. Then the last component is 10% of what type of credit or what type of trade lines that you have on your account. So you will want to have mixed credit or mixed accounts on your report. So revolving accounts. Revolving accounts are an example of that would be your credit cards. So because you can continue to use them. So as you pay it down, you can continue to use them. Another type would be installment accounts. So your mortgages will be also one that you can use. So your mortgage is also a type of installment account. Also maybe resale cards, which are and also personal loans as well.
Okay. And I just have a quick question too about the different types of loans, well, the different types of things that report your credit, like you just said, there's different types of credit. So does the history of it have anything to do with it as well? The length of history?
Yes, the length of history is 15% of your credit report. So how long you've had those accounts, the banks will also take those into play. So if you are new, say you're just now establishing credit and you wanted to go in and purchase something, make a big purchase and you needed to go and get a loan, they will look at how long that you had accounts. So sometimes even if you have a good credit score, they may not see that you are worthy enough of to receiving credit from them because you haven't had it a long enough of time.
Perfect. So why should an individual regularly check their credit scores or
Um,
credit report period?
so you should check your credit reports periodically because 1 in 5 reports have errors to them. So there are errors in your credit report that you may not be um, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
So
can hear you.
there may be things in your credit report that you may not be privy to that can hinder you if you go in and apply for credit. Also, over 14 million people were victims of identity theft within the last year. And so that is also big. And so I too was once a victim of identity theft. And when I tell you it's hard for you to get things off your credit report and to get credit established for yourself. Though you are given one free credit report annually, meaning per year. Now that due to COVID, they are allowing you to check your credit reports. I think it's annualcreditreport.com are allowing people to check their credit reports once a week for free. And also up until 2026, I think that you can go to all three credit bureaus and receive up to 6 free credit reports a year. And so also I know that a lot of people, they don't check their credit. And so when they go in to apply for things, they don't know what's on there. So that's why it's very important for us to make sure that we're checking our credit reports every periodically.
Okay. So that's a lot of things that we don't know about credit. So provide us with some tips and tricks of this things that we didn't know.
Okay. So the first thing that I do want to cover, I've noticed that a lot of people talking about repossessions. Anytime that I'm interviewing someone or doing a consultation, they'll say that, well, I did a voluntary repossession. So whether it's voluntary or involuntary, a repossession is a repossession. They're going to report it just as such. Also, another thing that I know that most people don't know is our medical bills. So while medical bills show up on our credit reports, they sometimes they do violate the HIPAA laws. And so it's important to know our laws because our laws will actually help us. However, a lot of medical facilities are hip to the HIPAA laws. And so what they would do is they would have you to sign this form saying, we want you to sign this form giving us rights to turn over your information to our third party people. And they won't mention the credit reports, but they may say as far as billing. So meaning that you have given them the authority to go ahead and release your medical records over to some of these creditors that are coming after you for these medical bills. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is a lot of people don't know the difference between a soft pull and a hard pull. A soft pull this is not an inquiry, so it doesn't show up on your credit report as hurting you. But if it's a hard inquiry, it does. And so a lot of times, some of us may go into a car dealership and we're looking to get finance. You're given you're giving the authority to the credit dealers, the car dealership to pull your credit, but they're actually running it through different banks. And so you'll see 15 and 20 different ones, but you didn't give them the authority to do so. So you can have the right to go back and actually you can go in, and dispute those inquiries that's on your report. Your inquiries, so within the first year, they hurt your score, and they can hurt it from anywhere from 2 to 5 points on your credit report. Also, you can dispute anything off your credit report as you have that in law. So you can, whether it's bankruptcy, whether it's tax liens, whether it's child support, you have the right to go in and dispute anything, but be sure to do your homework before you do so, because certain states, there are statute of limitations, federal statute of limitations, and also each state has a statute of limitations where if you try to dispute too early within the statute of limitations, they can come after you and sue you. Also with the tax liens, if you have a tax lien with the IRS, those things will fall off your credit report in 7 years. As long as you owe the IRS can report on your credit report. So you really can't dispute tax liens unless you pay them up and then they'll come off. Also, though I know that a lot of us think that things can fall off our credit report in 7 years, if your statute of limitations for your state is longer than 7 years, then it will remain on there per the statute of limitations for your particular state. There was something else that I wanted to talk about as well. I think that was...
Going back to the disputes, what's the process to file a dispute and how long does it take?
So when you're doing disputes, it depends. Because you're what it is you're disputing with the credit bureaus. And so what you would do is you would go to the credit bureaus and write a letter to them and say, I know a lot of people are now doing things online. However, it is better for you to write a letter so that you have a paper trail and send your disputes off I'm sorry, excuse me. Don't send them off with just, shoot. If you when you send your disputes off, make sure that you get a receipt from the USPS saying when they got them, when they got your mail. That way you have a paper trail so they can never say that they never got them. Also, if you send a written letter in, now when they go through to the credit bureaus, they scan them through a system, and the system actually reads them instead of you want someone to physically read your dispute so that you know that you're getting the attention that you need, so they won't come back and say, okay, well, you don't have enough information, or this claim that you're making is not true. You want someone to actually read it. And what it does is it takes them 30 to 45 days to get back with you. They have 30 to 45 days. If they don't, then they have to actually take the things off your credit report. And so what you're doing is the credit bureaus will go and do an investigation with the creditor that is actually saying, hey, this is what they're not paying. This is what's on their credit report. Also, you can also send letters to the creditors and the collectors that are also trying to come after you. And so it's like you're hitting them, you're giving them a double whammy. So you're disputing with the credit bureaus, and you're also going to dispute with them, with the creditors and also the collectors as well. And then so that way they won't report, they won't keep reporting it. So they can't no longer report on your credit report until they actually go in and do the investigation and give you the things that you're asking for. Also, I want to talk about credit building as well. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. A lot of people think that when you're building credit, that it happens overnight. It kind of doesn't. It kind of takes time to build credit. There are ways that you can build your credit. I know that a lot of us may not be homeowners, that we're just renters. There are companies out there that would allow you to, that will report your rent, because that's a big expense for a lot of us. A lot of us pay a lot of money renting from other people, and then it's not reporting to our credit on our credit reports, which will actually help us. There also are ways that you can go in and go in through the different banks that will allow you to have loans with them, but they're reported as a line of credit on your credit report. Also, I know a lot of people ask about authorized users. Now, you can become an authorized user on someone's account, but you have to be careful, because then if they default on their payments, then it also reflects on your credit report as well. So you want to be sure that it's someone that you know that are paying the bills on time, because it's also reflecting on your credit report as well.
Perfect. What is your take on, as far as other tips to build credit, as far as trade lines or secure credit cards?
So there are a lot of unsecured credit cards. I would say just be careful and look at what your interest rate is, what your fees, your annual fees are every year. Also, once you get an unsecured card, you are able to go in and ask for them to, so make sure that you're paying your card on time, and you're also keeping it. You don't have a high utilization on it or a high balance left on it. And then you can go and ask them to lift up your limit. So I know a lot of them, they wait 6 months to see how you're paying your bills, what your limits are, and then they will increase your credit limit. So you can also ask for a credit limit increase on your cards. A lot of times after you've had that card for a year and you're in good standing with them, they will offer you a secure card. And so with secure cards, you have higher limits on them as well. Also, another thing I would say to do is they're a self-lender. I know a lot of people are looking into doing self-lender, but you can also go through your local bank. They have self-lending accounts also. I know that Navy Federal is good credit with their credit bill. So I would say so sometimes go and look at the bank that you bank with and see what credit building products they have, because you've already established a relationship with them and have a rapport with them. And so they're more willing to give you at a lower interest rate.
Baby, I think you're going out a little bit. Okay, I can hear you now.
Did I lose her?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me now?
I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. Repeat that last part that you said.
The last part I said was I forgot. Oh, I said I would check with my bank, whoever you bank with, because you already have a relationship with them and have a rapport with them. They're more willing to give you lines of credit versus if you go somewhere else. And they'll also look into giving you a lower interest rate on their credit building products versus you going someone else to do so.
Okay. Well, I definitely appreciate you for sharing all this great information. 'Cause I definitely learned some things that I didn't know before.
Oh,
So
thank
how
you.
would
Thank you
people,
for having me.
if anybody wanted to reach out to you to book a consultation to fix their credit, how would they reach out to you?
So actually, I didn't even have my calendar. You can reach out to me via email at askharvestgroup@gmail.com. I'm also doing free credit consultations for the remainder of March. Um, Also, they can reach out to me. I have not been on Facebook and Instagram, but I am getting back to it. So you can find me on Facebook at Xavier Phillips. That's Xavia Phillips on Facebook, and on Instagram you can find me at Harvest Group _ on Instagram as well.
Well,
Also,
that's it,
I can give you my
guys.
business number to text also. That number is 770-799-6614.
All right, thank you guys. If you have questions, please reach out to her as soon as possible. And that's it for Talk to Me Tuesdays. I will be live back tomorrow for Hump Day House Hunt. But I will feature a house. I may be in the Fabric, Covington, or even the Latonia area. So we shall see where my day takes us. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back shortly.
Thank you.